I'm Quentin D'Souza and this is Get Real Wealthy. All right, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the Underutilized Housing Tax Form.
Creating wealth, freedom, and security using real estate investing. This is Get Real Wealthy.
Now, this form is 9 pages long and it's full of bureaucratic mumbo jumbo. Yes, but every investor that owns a property in a corporation or holding company or partnership is going to need to complete this form. Now, let's talk a little bit more about what this is going to look like. First of all, this is not a municipal form. This is for all investors in Canada. This is a Canadian-wide underutilized housing tax form from the Canada Revenue Agency. So this is from the CRA. It's a requirement that all owners who have properties have this form completed by the end of April 2023. So if you're listening to this episode in the future, you should be filling this out every year. Now, it is a 9-page form and there are some criteria around it. First of all, anybody who owns a property in a corporation, a limited partnership, or other structure such as a joint venture partnership needs to disclose the ownership information. The fine associated with not completing it by April 30th is something in the order of $10,000 per property. It's a huge amount. So it's something that you don't want to forget. Now, who is required to complete this form? Well, if you have 3 or fewer units in a property, a form needs to be completed for that property, which is this 9-page form. And this is it includes information about the partnership, the ownership, percentage amounts, so who owns what percentage of the property and how much they own. And it also includes the vacancy of a particular unit. So the idea behind this is that if you have a property that is owned in a corporation, that's owned in a holding company, that's owned in some sort of partnership that is vacant, that there's going to be an additional tax that you are going to need to pay for having that property vacant. Now, I don't think that the CRA worked out all the kinks and all the challenges that they're going to have with that, because they probably didn't realize how many investors and how many partners they have through joint venture partnerships that may not be on title, and that's going to cause a lot of confusion. What happens with some investors is that they will have one person, they may be working together with two people, let's say. One person goes on title and the other person has a bare trust that's associated with the property, and or a co-venture agreement that's associated with the property, and they're not necessarily listed on title. So what this particular document does is it illuminates that to the CRA. Now, you probably are illuminating that anyways when you're completing your taxes. So it's not something that the CRA probably doesn't already know about, because if you are completing your taxes annually, it's going to be based on the percentage ownership of it. The challenge is that now we have a separate database with separate information that includes this. The thing that you might be thinking is, what happens if the CRA discloses this information to third parties, maybe to financial institutions? Maybe they should know that already, but if they don't know that, this could be a problem, especially for some investors where they might not necessarily be able to qualify for the property. So there is a lot of challenges that are associated with this that haven't been worked out yet. It may be a way for you to, if you're starting to feel that there is going to be a problem, maybe this is an opportunity for you to take that problem and try to come up with the solution. Maybe putting the property in your own name or co-qualifying in order to alleviate that title issue that may come up in the future. Right now, there is no indication that the CRA could or would be able to share that information with a financial institution. I don't think that's within their privacy code anyways, but it's something that you may want to just keep in mind. So if you haven't completed it yet, make sure you look up the Underutilized Housing Tax Form. One suggestion is, if you have a number of different properties where this needs to be completed, is that you have an accountant or somebody help you complete at least one of the forms, and then you can use that as a template to complete all the forms associated with the property. I've heard of accounting firms that have been charging $500 to $800 to complete this 9-page form. So, if you can do it properly and you can do it yourself, it may be a good way for you to save some money when you start having to get this completed. In any case, this is the Canada one, the Underutilized Housing Tax Form. There are forms for different municipalities as well. So I believe Toronto has one and Ottawa has one as well. So this is going to make things a little bit more bureaucratic and therefore discourage more investment, I believe, in housing. So just another bureaucratic hoop to jump through that makes it more challenging to do what we do. And the more that you put in the way of this, the less it's going less housing is going to be available, less of these type of units are going to be available. So what I am seeing here is that those people who are in 3 or fewer units, the more of this bureaucratic stuff that we're starting to see, the less of those units in the future are going to be available. So just something to keep in mind. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Get Real Wealthy. Make sure that if you like what you're hearing here, make sure you leave a comment or a review so that we can get those 5 stars if you think that we deserve that. And we'll see you on the next episode of Get Real Wealthy. You can learn more about me by visiting QuentinD'Souza.com, and we'll see you on the next episode of Get Real Wealthy.
Make sure to check out GetRealWealthy.com.
Until next time, I'm Quentin D'Souza. Get out there and take action.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are provided for information purposes only and should not be construed as an offer to buy or sell any securities or to make or consider an investment course of action. For more information, go to GetRealWealthy.com.